How's it going, everyone? Thank you all so much for watching Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys have all had a great Wednesday so far, and I hope you guys are all having a great start to your day. And today is February 26, 2025, and in today's forecast, we are going to be talking about another big storm that's going to be coming to the United States as we get into next week, and this is going to be bringing a lot of impacts, as not only could we be seeing the potential for a severe weather outbreak, which not only models but the Storm Prediction Center already has a slight risk for severe weather as we get into Wednesday of next week, which definitely does bring the concern for potentially a severe weather outbreak, as seeing a severe weather threat 7 days out is definitely not good news from here on out. Plus, we could also be seeing some very heavy snowfall across the Great Lakes regions, and we could even be seeing some of that across the Northeast too as well, which will be another thing to keep an eye on with this system. And the last thing to keep an eye on will be the potential for flash flooding, as some of these systems could bring the potential for a lot of rainfall, possibly leading to some flooding issues. So we will be watching all that closely for you guys. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we are here to keep you all safe and prepared before and after big storms roll on through. And another thing I recommend doing is turning on all notifications, as we will be live on this channel whenever there's a big severe weather event or outbreak going on, which we do have a chance of going live during the middle of next week. So consider doing that, as not only will that give you guys a way to receive alerts and stay safe, but it also really does help support the channel a lot as well. So make sure to do that if you haven't done that already. Make sure to help get the word out to everyone by liking today's video and sharing it with friends, family, or anyone you know on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Let's first start off by taking a look at the threat for severe weather as we get into Wednesday of next week, and you guys can see how the Storm Prediction Center is already very confident about seeing severe weather as we get into next week. And what's bad about seeing a slight risk 7 days out, which next Wednesday is pretty much 7 days out from now, is that we could be seeing potentially a severe weather outbreak, as sometimes we can even get upgraded to an enhanced risk when we are heading this far out, and sometimes we can even get upgraded to a moderate risk depending on what models show as we get closer. So we need to be watching the system very closely, as I am expecting those severe weather chances to really start ramping up, and I would not be surprised at all if the slight risk did get extended a little farther to the north into parts there of the Lower Ohio Valley, and we will be talking about why, but it will be something to watch very closely, as the slight risk could very well extend a little farther east and also a little farther north. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we will continue to keep you guys up to date with the latest with the system. Let's talk about why the Storm Prediction Center already has a slight risk for severe weather in place. Starting off with the European model, you guys can see that on Wednesday of next week, which will be March 5th, we are going to have a lot of energy surging on in from the Gulf right there, and this is going to be enough, guys, to really support potentially even a severe weather outbreak as far north as the Lower Ohio Valley, as those Cape values are likely going to be between 1,000 and maybe even as high as 2,000 joules per kilogram in some of those areas, especially across the Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and as well as the Deep South. And even though we may have a little bit of energy surging on in, I'm expecting most of the severe weather to stay south of this line, if why not a little farther down south, given the fact that those dew points, which we will look at in just a second, aren't going to be able to make it up as far north. But we will have enough energy to perhaps bring a little bit of a thunder snow threat up there in Michigan, which will be something to watch for. And then after that heads out, maybe some more severe weather events down there in Florida, but it still remains uncertain as we are heading far out, and then maybe a much bigger one as we get a little bit later into March, but that one does remain uncertain. Let's talk about the moisture with this system as we get into Wednesday of next week. Not only are we going to be seeing those Cape values between 1,000 and 2,000 joules per kilogram, but with the moisture, look how much moisture there is. We're talking dew points in the 60s all the way from the Deep South all the way up there into the lower Ohio Valley, and that's the reason why I'm expecting most of the severe weather to stay south of this line right here. So it's only going to be the lower Ohio Valley points southward that's really going to be seeing those chances for severe weather. And like I said, we're not going to have a lot of moisture, but we may have enough to perhaps produce a little bit of thunder snow up here, as some of that energy does look to work its way up here. Otherwise, we aren't really expecting anything crazy north of this line, like I said, but we will definitely watch it closely, as it is looking to be on the concerning side of things. And then that moisture is obviously going to continue to push eastward as we even get into Thursday, which I think will be another day to watch for. But as of right now, our main focus is going to be Wednesday, as those dew points really do look to be concerning. And of course, the wind shear especially is going to be another thing to watch for. And if we look at your average wind shear between the higher parts of the atmosphere and the lower parts of the atmosphere, you guys can see how most of the wind shear will more than likely stay farther to the north, but that doesn't mean we will be seeing tornadoes farther to the north. That just means we will likely be seeing maybe a thunder snow chance, I would say, especially because we're going to have some of that energy, like I said. But still, most of the severe weather is still going to be staying farther down to the south, mainly given the fact that those dew points are going to be on the higher side of things as you get farther down to the south. But it's definitely something to really keep an eye on closely, as things could very well expand and they could very well shift around. So we'll watch it very closely, as we are still heading far out from now, which means we're still expecting some things to change. But the least I can say, though, is that this will be somewhat a severe weather event as we do get closer. So make sure you are paying attention, as I do think there will be an isolated tornado threat with this system, but will more than likely stay south of the Ohio Valley. Let's now go ahead and talk about what the GFS model is showing with this system. And if we look at the GFS model for comparison, it does actually show the same thing, that we could be seeing that energy get as far north as the lower Ohio Valley. Maybe not as widespread of energy, but still some values between 6,000, not 6,000, but 600 to 1,000 joules per kilogram across the lower Ohio Valley. And once again, that moisture is going to be very high. We're talking 60-degree dew points, maybe even a little farther north, but still expected to stay south of Indianapolis. And of course, for wind shear, once again, most of that wind shear is going to be staying farther down to the south, at least for where we're expecting the tornado threat to be. But we will still need to be watching places like the Ohio Valley and as well as the Southern Plains, as I still think we could be seeing the tornado threat there as well. Let's now go ahead and start talking about the snowfall with this system, because not only are we expecting a chance for a severe weather outbreak on Wednesday of next week, but for snowfall, we could be seeing some thunder snow up there in northern Michigan, and that will even continue into the northern parts there, the northeast, with possibly even another severe weather event right behind it as we get into Thursday, which, like I said, that will be something to watch for. But we're first going to start by looking at Wednesday of next week first, before we get a little bit later. And of course, that low will continue off the East Coast, possibly bringing a little bit of heavy snowfall to parts there in Maine as we get into the end of next week. And then maybe even another big system like this one that is more than likely going to roll on through the Gulf and eventually hit central Florida, kind of like what we saw during the past couple of days, where Florida did get hit with some pretty heavy rainfall. So this will be another system to really keep an eye on, as there is a chance this may become a tropical depression, but I don't think chances are very high as of right now, as we are still hanging very far out. And then after that, maybe even another severe weather event, but still too far out to really tell. Now let's look at your total snowfall, so that way you guys have a good idea of what to expect. And you guys can see that when looking at the GFS model, we will likely see some pretty good amounts of snowfall across parts there, the Great Lakes region, even northern New England, I should say, and as well as over here in the mountain areas. So we will need to be watching all those areas very closely, as I do think there's a pretty good chance that all those areas experience anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snowfall or more. So make sure you guys are really paying attention very closely, as even the European model does show quite a bit of snowfall. Maybe not as bad as the GFS model, as it doesn't show that snowfall as far down south, but it still does show some pretty good amounts of snowfall heading from parts there of northern Michigan all the way back down there into New England, with maybe some pretty good snowfall in the higher elevations as well. So this will be another thing to really keep an eye on closely, as we're just going to have these Alberta Clippers just continue to roll on through, and that will be another thing to keep an eye on even when we don't have a big storm system ongoing. And like I said, just going to be seeing those roll on through one after another. And like I said, even if we don't see a storm system moving from west to east, we will still likely be seeing some snowfall at times across the northern United States, as you guys will more than likely experience those Alberta Clippers. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's weather forecast. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we are here to keep you all safe and prepared before and after big storms roll on through. And make sure to turn on all notifications, as we will be live on this channel whenever a big severe weather event happens, which I am expecting to be live on Wednesday of next week, especially given the fact that the Storm Prediction Center is already very confident about potentially another big severe weather outbreak. So make sure to do that, as it not only will keep you guys safe and ready just in case this really does become big, and it also really does help support the channel a lot as well. So make sure to do that if you haven't done that already. Make sure to also help get the word out to everyone by liking today's video if you haven't liked the video already, and make sure to also share this video with friends, family, or anyone you know on social media. I definitely appreciate it, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Wednesday out there, and as well as a great start to your Wednesday, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.